Army Staff Sergeant Jeffrey Wan is suing the mother of his triplet girls, Amy Denton, and her husband, Daniel, for the return of child support. Jeffrey claims the couple accepted payments after Daniel adopted the children.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 47 on the calendar in the matter of Wan versus Denton.
Thanks, Judge.
Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
According to your complaint, you have overpaid child support to Mrs. Denton for triplets that were born as a result of a brief relationship that you had with Miss Denton. We'll get into the logistics and the timing of it in a moment, and these children have been adopted at this point by her husband.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to you, this overpayment was made after the adoption was finalized, so you want the $2,400 back. Mr. and Mrs. Denton say that it's true that the money was paid, was taken out of your salary, I assume, after the children were adopted, but that for a very long time you paid nothing, so stop complaining.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, when were you and Mrs. Denton together?
In March of 1998, ma'am.
And was it a monogamous relationship, or was it a boyfriend-girlfriend, or was it a casual relationship?
Casual.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you find out that these children were going to be born?
Before I had left for Korea in 1998, she had mentioned to me that she was pregnant.
Mentioned?
Mentioned it.
That's not usually something you just mention.
Well, it wasn't actually her that had told me. It was one of her friends that she had put on the phone. They told me that she was pregnant. And then shortly before I had left.
Okay. Would you remember what month that was? You remember?
It was April.
I told him in April.
Had you ever been pregnant before?
No, ma'am.
So this was just a lucky break that you had triplets the first time around.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. And lucky for you. Did you have any communication with Miss Denton from April until the triplets were born?
Very little. Right before I had left, she had actually mentioned to me that they were triplets.
What month did you tell them they were triplets?
When I found out in June.
Miss Denton, where were you living at the time?
With my mother and father.
Were you shocked?
Very.
Were your parents shocked?
Very.
In June, you advised them that they were going to be triplets.
Yes, ma'am.
And you left for Korea.
Yes, ma'am.
There was never any discussion of the two of you finalizing a relationship.
Ma'am, I didn't believe they were mine to begin with from the get-go.
Now, the children were born when?
They were born in 1999.
When?
September.
September 1998.
I'm sorry, 98.
September the 17th.
And when did you meet Mr. Denton?
In June of 1998.
Had you ever been married before?
No, ma'am.
And so you understood when you were getting married to this lady that you were taking on the responsibility of instant family.
Yes, ma'am.
When, for the first time, did you discuss with Amy the probability of your adopting the girls?
It was discussed off and on early in our relationship, shortly after we got married.
When did you get married?
Actually, 2 weeks after they were born, October 3rd of 98.
During the time that you were courting, between June and October, did you discuss what the family dynamic was going to be with him?
We were trying to decide whether or not that we should let them know that they have that their biological father, or just leave it as if I was the father. She was persistent on the fact that they needed to know that that was their father at first, and I really didn't have that feeling in my heart because I wanted to personally take care of myself.
When did you notify Sergeant Wan that he was the father of triplets?
When they were born, Red Cross sent a message stating that if they wouldn't let me say that his kids were born because we weren't married. They told him that a friend of his had triplets.
And you received that message?
I did not, ma'am.
You did not?
I did not receive that.
When did you first communicate with him?
In June of 2000. Well, I went to child support in June of 2000.
When the children were born, did you put his name on the birth certificate as the father?
No, ma'am, they would not let me.
Had you and your husband at that point decided that it was best if he adopt the children?
We had discussed it.
And I assume that he was parenting these little girls.
Yes,
and that's
ma'am.
a full-time job.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Do you work?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm in the service as well. I'm in the Army.
When you went to child support, what was the purpose of your going to child support?
To get help, because it's very expensive.
At that point, were you anxious for your husband to adopt the children?
We would like it. We were wanting it, yes.
I assume. You figure, well, if you push him to pay, he'd be more than anxious to give up his parental rights since he hadn't seen the children anyway.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the back scenario. Well, what happened the first time you raised the issue of adoption?
He said he would not do it.
And when was that?
I do not recall exactly when it was.
Was that before or after?
It was after child support had started.
Ma'am, they actually had asked me prior to the child support starting. They wanted me to sign the papers so he could adopt them. I refused to because, number one, I didn't know for a fact that they were mine. I wasn't going to do it without blood tests.
So that they asked you to sign the papers relinquishing your parental rights before child support.
Correct.
That sounds more likely. And then child support was ordered. You went and you took a blood test, and as it turns out, you are the biological father of these 3 little girls.
Correct.
Did you start to visit them?
I did. On numerous occasions, I attempted to go over there. She had actually called me a few times to come over and spend some time with the girls. Unfortunately, most of the time it was late night. I didn't have a lot of time during the day or on weekends to see them unless it was later in the evening.
Why?
Because most of the time during the day I was working until about 1700, 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Do you have other children, sir?
I did have one other child at the time, yes.
What do you mean you did?
I gave her up for adoption as well.
You just keep pollinating around? Sergeant Juan, you've got to keep it zipped, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know, you're a grown-up, or at least you're old enough to be a grown-up. You're not responsible enough to be a grown-up, Sergeant, because grown-ups don't make irresponsible decisions all the time. And apparently you did.
And later today,
How long had you been in prison?
3 years, 7 months, 14 days.
And how old was your son when he was murdered?
23.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeffrey Wan says the mother of his triplets, Amy Denton, and her husband, Daniel, owe for the return of child support. Jeffrey claims the couple accepted money after Daniel adopted the children.
So far, you got 4 babies, and it's easy to sign a piece of paper. It's much easier to, use protection. Much easier. Causes a lot less pain to a lot more people, get hurt. You have family?
Yes, ma'am.
You have mother?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a father?
I do.
You have siblings?
Yes.
Right now you have a mother and a father who have 4 grandchildren that they will never see. That creates a heartache, even if you put it in the back of your mind someplace. Right?
Yes, yes.
You gotta grow up. Who is this?
That's my wife, ma'am.
You have children together?
Not yet, ma'am.
Okay. Well, after child support was ordered and you tried to see the girls and there was problems late night and whatever, when did you decide that you were going to consent to the adoption?
It was April of last year. They had asked me to allow them to change the names to Denton or add the name Denton onto their last names because they had another daughter as well who had the last name Denton. The girls wanted to have the same last name with their little sister. At first I said I wasn't going to allow it, and then I said the only way that it was going to happen was if he would adopt them. I don't want to have to put up with not being able to see my daughters on numerous occasions.
You didn't want to have 3 children have somebody else's last name and you paying support, right?
Correct.
Okay. And had your other child already been adopted?
Yes, ma'am.
So you knew how it worked?
Yes, ma'am.
When was the adoption finalized?
It was finalized in August of 2003.
For how many months did you receive support that came right out of his check?
I received it August, September, October, November, and December.
All right, Ms. Denton, tell me why you don't think you should give him the money back.
I don't feel we should owe him anything. He didn't pay us anything for 2.5 years. We asked him to please come see the children. We gave him chances. He would not do it because he did not want to do it in our home. He wanted to take them out of our home, which was fine. We felt after they got to know him and he got to know them, then they could go with him.
Why are you laughing, sir?
I'm just finding some of this to be amusing, ma'am.
Why?
The way that she said that I never wanted to go see I never wanted to see them. I never attempted to. It's completely wrong. On numerous occasions I had tried to go see them, and most of the time they were with their grandparents or with their aunt and uncle or just out and about doing something where I wasn't afforded the opportunity to see them until later in the evening.
Sergeant, you are not a person without rights. And if visitation is something that you want, regularly scheduled visitation, you go to court and you say, I want a regular fixed period of visitation with my girls, and the court will set that kind of an order. But you can't stand there like a crybaby and say, well, she only let me see the children when it was convenient for her and she made it difficult for me. You're a grown-up, or at least you're old enough to be a grown-up. You're not responsible enough to be a grown-up, Sergeant, because grown-ups don't make irresponsible decisions all the time. And apparently you did. Mrs. Denton, what I'm gathering from the 2 of you is that from the time the 2 of you met while you were pregnant, it was your hope, and your hope, sir, that you were going to be raising these girls as your own, and he wasn't going to be involved in your life.
Yes. So
that you did not pursue the issue of child support for several years.
Yes.
You You were trying to see if you could get rid of him, you know. The longer he abandoned his responsibility and the fact that he had 3 children, the easier it would be for you to terminate his parental rights, free the children for adoption, and allow your husband to adopt them, which is really what you wanted.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have to return the money. I mean, you got what you wanted. And you knew that you shouldn't have taken this money after the adoption was finalized. When were you notified that the adoption was finalized?
Not until December.
Well, as of August of 2003, this gentleman, the pollinator, had no legal obligation to support these girls because you and your husband got exactly what you wanted, which was you got him out of your life. You don't have to worry about him coming to visit, speaking with you. You don't have to worry about making decisions with him. He's out of your life. And you knew that you had no right to keep this money, so you could have sent it back to him. You chose not to do that. Well, that's the wrong thing to do. You know, if you're cutting the cord, you cut the cord, and you don't accept the money. And you didn't ask for any money until 2000. Anyway, judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $2,400. I assume that these are the only 4 children that you have. Is that right?
These are the only 4 children that I have, yes, ma'am.
Perfect. That's all. You're going to think about that, aren't you?
I have one on the way.
Good. This one I assume you're going to stick with and support.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. That's all. Thank you. Good luck.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I felt like I was being taken advantage of. They were just collecting the money from me that I couldn't do anything about.
He knew from the beginning. He blew me off, basically.
I can't say that I was always the best person, but at the same time, I don't think I was irresponsible.
We would invite him to our home to see them, but he wouldn't because it wasn't the way he wanted it.
I think that he tried really hard on trying to see the girls, and they made it absolutely impossible.
Having to explain to the girls when they get older that we tried and he chose not to be part of their lives.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Young versus Thomas, step forward.
Plaintiff Sarah Young is suing her deceased son's father, Bill Thomas, for his share of the funeral. Sarah says their son was murdered outside a convenience store.
You and Mr. Thomas had a son together.
That's correct.
That son, unfortunately, according to what I read in your complaint, was murdered.
Right.
And there was an insurance policy.
That's correct.
And the insurance policy was divided in half.
Yes.
You received half, and Mr. Thomas received half.
That's correct.
At the time that your son was murdered, you were in prison, Mr. Thomas, is that right?
That's correct.
How long had you been in prison?
3 years, 7 months, 14 days.
And how old was your son when he was murdered?
23.
You know the date of his death?
Yes, I do.
What was that?
January the 10th, 2004.
Now, what kind of an insurance policy did he have, Miss Young?
He worked for UPS, and he had a life insurance on the job.
And how much was the life insurance policy, the value that was paid?
It was $24,300.
And you received $12,000?
Yes, I did.
And Mr. Thomas received $12,000?
Yes, he did.
Is that right, Mr. Thomas?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. How much did the funeral cost?
The funeral was about $9,000.
And you want him to pay for half of the burial, which would be about $4,500.
Okay.
And what do you say about that, Mr. Thomas?
Well, the funeral
Well is not an answer, Mr. Thomas.
Yes, ma'am. The funeral only cost $3,484.
You can prove that?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see it, please. Is that your defense, sir, that it wasn't as expensive?
No,
or is your defense that you don't want to pay at all?
No, my defense is, not that I didn't want to pay at all. My defense is that I was never asked to pay anything to this day. The only time that I figured that I owed something is when I was served papers for $5,000. And I was away from my home at the time, and when I came home, and my wife said, your daughter came by and served some papers on you for her mother.
You testified that you paid directly out of your money for the funeral, is that right?
Yes.
Can I see the checks to the funeral parlor and the undertaker?
Hold on.
And how did you pay them? By check? Can I
Yes.
see the checks, please?
I don't have the checks because I went through the credit unit and I didn't know I had time to get the copy of it.
You had plenty of time, madam. These were in January of 2004.
What I meant, the reason I didn't have time to get the check when I decided to file, because first I was just going to let him walk away with the money and just go on about my business and take the pains in a different way. So I said, he started getting small with me and talking to me, you know, any type of way. I said, you know, I'm not going to let you get away with that. I spent 23 years old, 23 years climbing a pole, crawling on the house, taking care of my child. And then when he got killed, all you did is walked over and got half of the money. And I will not let you get away with that. And that's why I filed.
Okay, now, just Miss Young, but you have to understand, your claim is for half of your son's funeral expenses.
Right.
Now, Mr. Thomas is under no legal obligation to pay you half of your son's funeral expenses.
Okay.
I'm not saying he doesn't have a moral obligation, but this isn't a moral court. This is a law court. So he has no legal obligation to pay for the funeral. But assuming today, Mr. Thomas says to me, I would pay for half. That's the right thing to do. But you don't have proof of what you paid. And I'm asking you why.
I didn't burn the check.
Well, I can't help you, madam.
Okay.
If you come back, if you want to dismiss this case without prejudice and come back and show me proof that you've paid, that's fine. But that's only if Mr. Thomas will agree that if she has proof that she actually paid for this funeral, you say she did not. But if she has proof that she actually paid, are you prepared to pay for half?
Yes, I'm willing to pay for half, Your Honor.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Your Honor.
That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Business owner Jared Bledsoe is suing his ex-girlfriend, salon apprentice Michelle Ha, for loss of business as a result of having his cell phone turned off. Michelle is countersuing for an outstanding phone bill and the return of a printer.
Quiet in the courtroom. Now, this is case number 69 on the calendar in the matter of Bledsoe versus Ha. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Bledsoe, you and the defendant were involved in a relationship, according to what I read in your complaint. There came a time when you needed a cell phone.
Correct.
You didn't have sufficient credit to get one yourself. And Ms. Ha said that she would get one for you, as long as you agreed to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. She got a second phone on her account, or was this an account that you had solely for him?
No, it was already, and he took it over.
It was already in existence. Mm-hmm. And then you started a business.
Correct.
And you didn't have an office, per se, so that your cell phone was your office.
Correct. We're a mobile service.
So that you had business cards and stationery printed up, all with the cell phone number on it.
Yes.
What kind of business is this, Mr. Bledsoe?
We manufacture and install a paint protection film for cars. It's otherwise known as a clear broad. It's on the front of the cars to protect them from getting rock chips.
From getting what?
From getting rock chips and damage on the front of the car.
This is a lucrative business?
Yes.
And then the two of you broke up.
Correct.
This is what your lawsuit is about. You say that because Ms. Ha refused to let you keep the number to keep the account going, and you lost the number, not only did you lose a lot of business, but all of the cards that you had printed up and the stationery that you had printed up are no good anymore because you had to get a different phone.
Right.
Explain to me, sir, how this is a lawsuit.
All right. We had broken up in March of 2004, and until December of this past year, I was still paying the cell phone bill, still using the phone. She had contacted me and said that she wanted to get the cell phone out of her name, and I said, that's fine. And the following day, we were going to meet down at the Singular store because I needed her to go in and say it was okay for me to have that phone number. And so she agreed to go down there. She didn't show up that day. Then after we tried to meet, and she wouldn't come, and eventually she said, I'm not going to give you the number. My brother, who's also a partner in business, also spoke with her on the phone for about 45 minutes one day trying to see what we could do to maintain this number, and she just refused to do it. We ended up that month of February going 33 days without any business due to not having anybody being able to contact us through the new number.
Mr. Bledsoe, let's say I believe everything that you said to me. What you're complaining about is that she wasn't being a nice person, right?
Correct. Correct. She knew without a doubt that without giving me that number, she knew she would hurt business.
Where is her legal obligation to give you that number?
I guess there's no legal obligation that she had to give me that number.
That's true. But Ms. Ha has a counterclaim. She says you weren't paying the bill.
The very last bill, I did not pay the very last bill.
And what month was the very last bill, Mr. Bledsoe?
The cell phone was turned off in the middle of January, so it would have been the December to January.
When did you get that bill, Ms. Ha?
Well, I received several bills, and I actually agreed to let him keep the phone as long as he paid for the bill. His brother first told me beg, and I said, nope, I'm not going to give him the phone. And I totally refused, and then finally, I said, you know what, you can keep the phone, just pay for the bill. I texted him, I said, you can keep the phone. He even texted me back and said, I appreciate that you're going to let me keep the phone. I thought everything was going to be squared away. He's going to go pay for it. He still didn't pay for it. So
Well, let me
that's
see
why.
the bill.
This is collections.
Just the one. Are
Well,
they
it's-
all outstanding bills?
No, I'm sorry.
Well, then just give me one thing. I'm getting older by the minute. You owed her $497.57.
Originally, she had said that her mother was going to use that phone. Therefore, when I switched the numbers over, there wasn't going to be any cancellation fee or anything like that. Because she drew it out over a 3-week period of time, not deciding whether she wanted to give me a number or not, then they canceled the phone and they added on a $200 cancellation.
They canceled the phone after 3 months, not 3 weeks.
Had he been paying the bill regularly?
Yes, until, well, it was never on time, but he was until the last.
Well, why do you think, Mr. Bledsoe, that after she said she would let you keep the phone, she decided against it?
If you like, if I could bring my brother up, because he
Sure.
spoke with her directly about that question.
Your name?
My name's Craig Bledsoe. I spoke to Michelle. You know, she agreed to give the number, and I don't know what her problem was, but all of a sudden she wouldn't do it. And then she would, and then she wouldn't.
Just a second.
Yes.
That's a lie.
Mr. Bledsoe,
Yes.
try looking at me.
Okay.
This is not an audition for an acting class, sir.
Okay.
Did she ever say to you, you owe a bill?
No.
Is not an answer.
Oh, excuse
Did she
me, I'm
ever
sorry.
say to you, you owe a bill?
She never said to me that I owe a bill. Yes, he owes a bill.
Okay.
Correct.
Now, come back to you. Did you ever have a discussion about paying the bill?
Yes.
Well, that's the problem, sir. There was some misunderstanding and miscommunication about paying the last bill.
I had no problem paying the bill and, in fact, offered her money so that we could have that phone because that phone number is so crucial to our business.
Mr. Bledsoe, how many months after you broke up, or she broke up with you? Who broke up with who?
It was mutual.
Mutual. How much after the breakup did this incident occur in December? When did you break up?
In March.
So for a long time, you had the phone.
That's correct.
And for a long time, there was no problem.
Correct. The problem arose when Michelle and I were dating. We had had 2 cars repossessed. I felt responsible for it. Therefore, I had told her that I would give her $250 a month towards her car payment as long as I could afford it. Therefore,
What do you mean you felt responsible? Why did you feel responsible?
because we were living together and I was using the car.
Both cars.
And so therefore,
Go ahead. He was
I
using...
got him 2 cars, and he got them both repossessed. And countless of that, like credit cards he used to take to strip clubs, everything. And I saw
No.
a statement. Yeah.
Not sure.
that's
Just to sit down. Now I don't need you anymore.
Fair enough, but I got a lot to say about her side of the story.
I mean, I would see things on my statements.
So that things started to get nasty before.
been nasty
Is that
for a
right?
long time, yes.
Before. In any event, Mr. Bledsoe, Ms. Ha has no legal obligation to permit you to keep a cell phone in her name and allow you to keep the number. There's no legal obligation. Being a nice person, she could have done it. She chose not to, even if there wasn't an issue with regard to the final cell phone bill. So you don't have a legal case against her. Moral, maybe, but this is not moral court. It's a legal court. Understood?
Yes.
Very good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's your printer?
No, that's not my printer.
Do me a favor, Bert. Take a look at the receipt and see if it's the same make and model. Oh, I can't believe I went to law school for this.
And later today,
I felt sorry for her that she was with him.
You know who the only person I feel sorry for right now?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jared Bledsoe says ex-girlfriend Michelle Ha owes for maliciously cutting off his cell phone. Michelle says Jared tried to skip out on the bill.
Now, let's get to your counterclaim. As I said, I'm not deciding whether or not you were nice, you were not nice. All I want to know is how much he owes on the past due phone bill.
$497.
No, that's with the cancellation fee. I want it without the cancellation fee.
$342.48.
Good. $342.48. That's what you owe, sir.
We had had a dispute about printer and a computer, so we had brought that to give to her.
Officer Bird will take care of that. That's your printer?
Can you turn it around, please? No, that's not my printer.
Gosh.
I have a printer. It's a gray and black one, and when I got a computer, it came with it. And then when he gave me back my computer, he never gave me back my printer. And I have the receipt right here.
Do me a favor, Bert. Take a look at the receipt that she has and see if it's the same make and model. Oh, I can't believe I went to law school for this.
That was a Lexmark.
Yeah.
Mr. Bledsoe, does this one work or not work?
It works.
Good. Give it to her. Perfect. He owes you $342.48 for his phone bill. There's your printer. Bye. Good luck. Are you back in business?
Yes. Yeah.
Good. Good luck to you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I wanted to do this civilly, and he wouldn't take care of it outside, so he likes attention, so I give it to him.
As moral as she tries to act and she is, what would the moral thing have been to do in that situation?
I just want all ties cut with him.
I just think it's sad that this world is full of selfish people that are ignorant about the things that they do in their life.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Austin versus Atwater Mayfield. Step forward, please.
26-year-old retail salesperson Courtney Austin is suing her former friend, maintenance technician Fred Atwater, and his fiancée, 23-year-old restaurant manager Sylvia Mayfield, for collect calls from jail, gas money, and lost wages. Fred and Sylvia are countersuing for harassment.
Miss Austin.
Yes.
According to your complaint, you and Mr. Atwater dated for a little while. Then he went to jail.
Yes.
Why is that funny?
Because we never dated, Your Honor. It was just
I said to her, according to her complaint,
Okay.
the two of you dated for a while and then you went to jail. I didn't think the going to jail part was funny. And while he was in jail, he made a series of collect calls to you.
Correct.
And it went something like this. He would call you and ask you to connect him on a three-way call
Correct.
to this lady here.
Initially, it was his sister.
Well, that's what he told you.
That's what he told me.
But I said, to
Yes.
this lady here.
Yes.
Who happens to be his fiancée or girlfriend.
Yes.
Shh. Now, every time he called you collect, it cost you $2.70.
Correct.
So you want him to pay for that.
Correct.
And then, after you found out that he had this girlfriend, somehow you became friendly enough with her so that she asked you to drive her up to jail to pay his bail.
Correct.
And not only did you do that once, you did it twice.
Correct.
And now, Miss Austin, you're bothering me because you want the money back for the collect calls that you accepted and your gas and time when you took her to jail.
That he said he was going to pay for.
Let's go back. You met him when?
He introduced himself by leaving this note on my car.
Okay. Where did he see you?
He works in my complex.
Okay. So it worked. I didn't have to see that. He left a note on your car.
Yes.
You got to know him. According to him, you were friends. According to you, you dated for a little while. What I want to get to is, because I have other things to do today, and this isn't particularly fascinating to me. When women do stupid things, I get frustrated. At first, he told you, when he went to jail, by the way, what did you go to jail for?
Child support order.
Drug abuse and hitting her.
Was it a civil commitment or a criminal commitment?
It was civil.
Civil.
You hit her, and that's how
Shut
you got
up, shut up! He told you when he called you from jail that the person he wanted you to connect him to was his sister. How many such phone calls did you accept under the assumption that you were connecting him to his sister?
One.
And after that, you heard that it was his girlfriend.
No, I didn't know it was his girlfriend until she called me back trying to figure out who was three-waying the calls for him.
And how many calls had you accepted up until that time?
2 or 3.
And how many did you accept after you knew that she was the girlfriend?
It says here 35.
So, now we know that he's lied to you.
Yes.
And he's in jail.
Yes.
Why would you believe that he's going to pay you for these calls when he's lied to you about who the person is?
He's not from that area. Me just moving from Los Angeles to Georgia, I was trying to put myself in his position, needing a friend. So I was trying to look out for him. It wasn't like I was trying to make him my husband, my man, or anything like that. We were friends. And in that, he told me that he had after I found out he had a girlfriend, and I took her, I felt sorry for her that she was with him.
You know who the only person I feel sorry for right now? Miss Austin, how much did it cost you, all this stupidity of yours? How much in phone calls?
Between 150 and 175.
No, between 150 and 175 is not an answer when you're in court.
150. $150.
Now, Mr. Atwater,
Yes, ma'am.
who's supposed to pay that $150?
Well, since we were friends, I appreciate the call she did herself for me, but
Why didn't she collect the call?
They ain't have a phone at the house.
Quiet.
for one thing, we had a cell phone. We didn't have a household phone then at the time. And we can't make collect calls to her, so I thought I would call her. And she was notified before she accepted the call, $270 per call. She had an option to hang up or accept.
It does not say that.
If you say one more word, I'm just going to throw you out. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good.
She was opted to either accept the call or not to.
Did you tell her that you would pay her back for these calls?
I never told Courtney I would pay her. She told me every time I would call her and she do the three-way, she'll tell me to hang up and call right back.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, like you get 15 minutes for $2.70. So after the phone call, the 15 minutes is up, she would tell me to hang up and call right back.
And you would do that?
Yes.
And
She accept the call every time.
I didn't.
Sorry.
Am I looking in your direction?
No.
Mr. Atwater?
Yes.
Is it your statement to me that you never said to Miss Austin, please do this collect calls because we have no phone in our house, so if you do this for me, I'll pay you back when I get out?
I never told her I was going to pay her.
I don't believe that. See, that I don't believe. That I don't believe. I believe you told her you'd pay her back for the phone calls. That's
Your
one
Honor.
bit of stupidity. You may not have meant it, Mr. Atwater.
Your Honor.
I'm speaking. What did you ever do for her?
I never did anything for her.
That's what I mean. Why in the world?
Because we were
I'm
friends, Your
I'm
Honor. That's all
speaking.
we were,
I'm
friends.
speaking. Did Miss Mayfield know that she was your friend?
Not at the time. She was in Miami at the time.
Exactly.
And I did.
Quiet.
Xin cảm ơn tất cả các bạn đã luôn theo dõi và đồng hành với kênh của cô. Thì hôm nay làm video này cô sẽ hướng dẫn cho tất cả các bạn viết chữ O có trong bảng chữ cái của tiếng Việt. Giờ thì cô sẽ viết chữ O trong bảng chữ cái tiếng Việt. Và chữ O hôm nay cô viết sẽ gồm có chữ O in hoa và chữ O in thường. Chữ O in hoa cô viết sẽ cao 5 ô ly và sẽ rộng 4 ô ly. Và bây giờ thì cô sẽ viết chữ O in hoa trước nhé. Đây là chữ O in hoa cô vừa viết xong. Và bây giờ thì cô sẽ viết chữ O in thường. Chữ O in thường cô viết sẽ cao 2 ô ly và sẽ rộng là 1,5 ô ly. Đó, như vậy là cô đã vừa viết xong chữ O trong bảng chữ cái tiếng Việt, gồm có chữ O in hoa và chữ O in thường. Và đây là chữ O có trong bảng chữ cái của tiếng Việt mà cô vừa hướng dẫn cho tất cả các bạn viết. Thì gồm có chữ O in hoa và gồm có chữ O in thường.